going. Your vigilance in regard to social distancing, avoiding congregation, masks will define how the school goes forward in the next weeks and months. We are not a bubble. I know we always laugh when we talk about Mount Sinai being a bubble. We cannot control what goes on beyond our building. And we ask you, as we come into the holidays, our students return from colleges away, that you are careful, that you are vigilant, and that you have a safe and happy Thanksgiving that allows us to return to school in our current structure. We've done everything we can. We ask that you do whatever you can to make that possible. With that said, Anne Marie, will you please address approval of the minutes?
Yes, approval of the minutes. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the minutes of the October 21st, 2020 regular meeting as submitted.
May I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you. Please indicate your approval by aye or nay. Aye.
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 Thank you. Tonight's superintendent's report will focus on our AP exams from last year as an indication of how well our students did. There aren't any Regents exams to discuss. They were canceled. There won't be Regents in January. Gordon, will you take it away and address the AP advanced placement scores? And Ken, if you could share the screen.
Will do. Thank you, Bob. You jumped a little ahead, Ken.
Yeah, don't look at any of the names yet.
At the end, there you go. As Bob just mentioned, January Regents are already canceled. The state is maintaining they're still going to attempt to have the June Regents. An announcement would not be made regarding that June Regents until March, the earliest, is what they had said this week. But annually, we have presented the Regents and AP scores, and we've been as proud of the Regent scores as we have our AP scores. And you'll see why we have reason to be proud. Ken? Please keep these things in mind as I present the AP scores, that Mount Sinai continues to prove strong in all advanced placement courses and exams. There were 3 teachers new to teaching their AP course. All 3 have improved scores in the previous year. Let me explain why that happens. Annually, we review these scores, we have a meeting, and if we think we have someone on our staff who might be a stronger AP teacher, and we think someone's growing a little stale in that particular class, we replace them. And so far, decisions have given us good results. It should be noted that there is great consistency, although in the high scores among teachers who have been teaching advanced placement courses for several years, they often compete with themselves and like to see if they can get better scores every year. But we all know every cohort of students from year to year changes. Ken? And I think this reflects that. In 2016, you'll know that we had a strong year, 82% of students getting 3s or above. But again, those were higher numbers back then. I'm saying back then in 2016, 276 students. We had a small drop. That's when we started examining staff. We grew a little bit more in 18, got back to 82% higher 3s last year. And this year, if you look at with 50 less students, 100 less number of exams, we are higher. We went from 82 to 88% of our students getting 3s or higher on the AP exams, which is pretty remarkable. I can only know I've looked to so-called high-performing schools to our left, some districts starting with a number, and we have beaten them. And I'm proud to say that. So we'll look at the scores now. Ken, if you switch the slide, please. All right, we start with music theory. And what you'll see is we're higher than last year. Now, the way we do comparison here is not like the regions from district to district. We compare our district to New York. We call that the local area, and then literally global, the rest of the United States and places in the world who took the same test. So music theory beats last year in our own district, and we're ahead of the local New York and global, as you can see. Studio art and drawing really did well last year. 4.33, almost a whole point higher than the year before. And again, with that 4.33, we're higher than our local New York, and we're higher than the global average. Ken? Now here in sciences, we did as well. Environmental science, I want to note that this was a teacher change. The first year a teacher taught this course, and they beat last year's score, 3.39 versus 3.27, and they were ahead of New York and the global averages. Physics, we're a little down to our own score, yet we're still ahead of New York and global. Physics 2, which we didn't even run last year, we got an amazing 4.11, and you can see how high that is over the New York average and the global average. And in biology, again, denotes a change in teacher new to that subject. And it's a 3.43, again, like the environmental science, ahead of last year's averages for us, certainly ahead of New York and the global average. Ken? This is now the first one, the 3, the star, the asterisk denotes that we don't run this course. Kids challenge it. So we had kids challenging and got 3s. Not too bad for not having the class to support it. US government and politics, 3.49 ahead of last year's Mount Sinai average, certainly ahead of New York, certainly ahead of global. US history, we're down a little bit for us, 3.5, but we're certainly ahead of New York and the global average. This subject, world history modern, we're up a little bit over last year and certainly ahead of New York and global. We didn't offer this particular class, comparative government and politics, but the kid who took it got a 5. That's pretty good when he didn't have a class to support it. And that child got a 5 challenging it. In psychology, we didn't offer that either. And the person got a 4 when they challenged the exam. Ken? Here on this particular slide, we have very experienced, highly successful veteran teachers. I think everyone in the world knows that Kulik is the teacher of calculus, and he was a little angry at himself for the 3.9 when he got a 4 the year before, and he does take that seriously, but he's well ahead of New York and global, and those are great scores. Calculus BC though, a little down a little bit, but an incredible average for the calculus. These are extremely challenging classes. Well ahead of New York and well ahead of the global average. And I'm sure a lot of you know Mr. Kulik's going to retire in 2 years, and I have no idea as we sit here who could possibly take his place and be as successful as he is, but we will start looking next year to get that higher. It'd be very hard to replace. Another teacher of these next 2 classes is a veteran also, Belisari. She'll be retiring in a few short years. And you can see how she had a 4 anyway, and then at 4.17, that's amazing to beat that score of last year. That's well ahead of New York and the global average. Computer science principles, she tied her record of last year of 3.53, again, ahead of the New York and global averages. Statistics, that's Ms. Briska, who does an outstanding job, a real worker in the math area, and she has a 4.46, amazing in statistics, AP, and that's, look how far ahead that is of the New York and global average. That's pretty amazing. Again, 3 veteran, excellent AP teachers. Ken? English Lit and composition. This is a little down from last year, not too bad, but again, ahead of New York and Global. That's a pretty challenging exam. Then English Lit Composition is a first year, again, a new teacher. That's the third new teacher. Look at how successful they were, outscoring our last year average of 2.74. And that 3.42 is certainly ahead of the New York and Global average. And French language is a 3. We had one student take the French AP. Again, then when you go to the Spanish language, you have very strong average of 4.18, beating the prior year for that teacher. And that is ahead of New York. And the interesting thing is that Spanish language AP average is higher than the global average of 3.86. The Chinese language, a student challenged it. We don't teach Chinese, and he got a 2. Now, when you add it all up, Ken, next slide, please. You'll see the mean averages across the board, averaging them all up, is Mount Sinai's average of above 3s is 3.66. The average in New York State is 3.23, and global average is 3.19. So with the crazy year, challenging, stressful year we had last year, we did very well. I have to congratulate those kids. For AP kids to hang in like they did is absolutely amazing. Ken? Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this clearly. Our AP scholars we'd like to show, I'm not going to read every name, but the AP scholars granted the students who received grades of 3 or higher on 3 or more exams. So a 3 or higher on 3 or more exams. AP Scholar with honors granted the students who average, it goes up a little bit, not a 3, but a 3.25 on all AP exams taken, and grades of 3 or higher on 4 or more exams, not 3. AP Scholar with distinction granted the students who record an average of at least 3.5 now on all AP exams, and grades of 3 or higher on 5 or more exams. Then the difference in the first 3 to get to the next level is pretty rigorous. Granted students in the United States who receive an average grade of at least 4 on all exams, and grades of 4 or higher on 8 or more exams. Pretty tough. If I know a lot of the board members will recall with me Seth Brand, the student we had a number of 4 years ago, perhaps, who went to Harvard. He challenged, I believe, 12 AP exams and took a total of 27 AP exams, scoring a 4 or 5 on all of those exams. We're extremely proud of Seth. Amazing achievement, especially challenging 12 AP exams on his own. Ken? So here we'd like to show you our AP scholars who are successful. Nope. No, yet. Back up one more. There we go.
Okay.
Oh,
Now we're going forward.
Good.
Right
okay,
there.
there we are. I'd like to congratulate Bob Sweeney there. And we see you have quite a number of our AP scholars. Congratulations to all of them. I'll just leave it on a few seconds, Ken, so people can read the names. Now you got to remember, we're a small school. So to have all of these kids, and we were smaller. As I told you, we're down 50 students from 2016. Okay, Ken?
All right, hold on a sec.
Yep. So this is AP Scholar. It should be honor. I think you might have jumped this.
Yeah, jumped one.
All right, hold on. I'm having trouble with this. I think we're here.
There you go. Remember, there was 3 last time. This is 3.25 and 3 or higher on 4 exams. Congratulations to those students, and I know a lot of the board members and those watching know a lot of these kids, especially Jackie Wilkin, who's one of our teachers, and her son was very successful there. Okay, Ken. Now we have AP Scholar with distinction. You can see the amount drops off a bit. That's a 3.5 on all exams taken, a 3 or higher on 5 or more AP exams. Congratulations to those 5 students. Okay, Ken. Now, the AP scholars, all these students graduated last year. I had the pleasure of knowing a lot of these students and, got a 4 on all their AP exams taken with a grade of 4 or higher on 8 or more exams. They have graduated from us. And there are 8 of them. The interesting thing is, I showed you 2016, the numbers when we were 50 students higher, 100 exams, more exams taken, and there were 8 national scholars then with 50 more students. Here we're down 50 and we got 8 again. All right, Ken. So I think, again, you'll see we have good reason to be proud. I didn't show it tonight, but it's good to mention that we are a school of recognition. It used to be called a reward school. We received the certificate, and at 7 consecutive years that we have received that honor. I don't know many districts who got 2 or 3 or 4, but that's pretty incredible. A testament to our students and our staff, our teachers. I congratulate all of them. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Steve has alerted me that we don't have any questions with regards to the agenda. If you have a question with regards to the agenda, if you could present it now, otherwise we'll move on to our agenda. Okay. Personnel, Steve, Network and Systems Coordinator, would please take that one.
Sure. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following administrative appointment. James Matias, start date November 23rd, 2020, Network and Systems Coordinator at a compensation rate of $135,000.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
Pete, substitute teachers.
Number 2, substitute teachers. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following substitute teacher appointments as listed.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? Maureen, there are a few students that have graduated. I see Miss Basio. Any other students of ours on the roster? I don't think
I wonder if Maureen's unmuted.
He's muted.
Yeah. Well, I see Gina Marie. Parents are over at Heritage Chemist, so congratulations to her. All in favor indicate aye.
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 Lisa, Office Assistant, number 3.
Office Assistant Michelle Ortato, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following office assistant appointment. Michelle Ortato, December 3rd, 2020, area of office assistant, compensation, step 1.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor indicate by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Ed, School District Aides, number 4.
School district aides, hang on a second. I just lost my screen for a second. School district aides, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following school district aide appointments. Holly Broich for November 12th of 2020 as a school district aide at the compensation of $13.25 per hour. Sabrina Sinai, effective October 30th of 2020, school district aide step 1, and Danielle Lino, October 30th, 2020, school district aide step 1.
Thank you, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Indicate aye. Thank you. Action items, Rob. Educational A, Committee on Special Education.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education has no objections to the following special education recommendations. and approves the authorization for the funds to implement the special education program and services consistent with such as listed.
Thank you, Rob. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor indicate aye.
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 Action items, business, obsolete equipment. Pete?
Action items, business A, obsolete equipment. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby declares the following items as obsolete and further authorizes disposal as listed.
Second.
Thank you, Rob. Any comments?
Sad to see pickleball net go.
Yep. Considering the fact only you and I knew what that was. All in favor indicate aye.
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 And Marie B, Suffolk County School Bus Stop Arm Enforcement Program.
Boy. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following resolution. Whereas the Mount Sinai School District intends to participate in the County of Suffolk School Bus Arm Enforcement Program hereinafter the program. Whereas the program is authorized under New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law S1174-A. Whereas pursuant to New York State VTL S1174-A, in order to participate in the program, the school district must enter into an agreement with the county. Whereas the Mount Sinai School District intends to execute the school bus stop arm enforcement program opt-in agreement attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and enter into the program. The Mount Sinai School District Board of Education hereby acknowledges and approves the Suffolk County School Bus Stop Arm Enforcement Program opt-in agreement made between Suffolk County, Mount Sinai School District, Bus Patrol America LLC, and First Student, and agrees to be bound by its terms.
Thank you, Anne Marie. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. Any comments? Linda, do we get some reimbursement for this?
Had to unmute myself. No, well, we don't get reimbursed because it's Suffolk County is paying for the whole thing.
Oh, so I prefer them to pay the whole thing. Any other comments? All in favor indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
C, Ed, Memorandum of Agreement, Mount Sinai Administrators Association.
Memorandum of Agreement with the Mount Sinai Administrators Association resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent. The Board of Education hereby ratifies the Memorandum of Agreement dated November 16, 2020 between the Mount Sinai Administrators Association and the Board of Education and authorizes Board President Robert Sweeney to execute said agreement.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
This reflects the contract with the administrators for the next term. D, Lisa, Memorandum of Agreement, Mount Sinai Teachers Association.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the memorandum of agreement with the Teachers Association dated November 18th, 2020.
And if you'll allow me to amend it briefly, and authorizes Board President Robert Sweeney to execute same. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
That concludes the agenda. Steve, you have questions or comments?
We do. We have 3 questions. The first one is from Laura DeMarco. I'm concerned what will happen if we are forced to go fully remote. Will the teachers do live instruction synchronously this time around? The amount of work last year for asynchronous instruction for our elementary was challenging. Also, there hasn't been any instructing guidance as to what type of device will work best with our programs the school currently subscribes to.
Well, what we have right now is this next week, starting Monday, we're requiring our teachers to go live. Right now, about 50 to 60% of them are live and experimenting to move forward. However, there are some courses, I'm referring mainly to the 7 through 12, particularly in the high school, where in science and math, and I can understand it, geometry, algebra 2, parents have indicated, as well as students, they want the opportunity to play lessons back, lessons that the teachers are live on, that they've recorded, that appear on their class period, their schedule. So they have the opportunity to view it again, rather than it's presented live, one shot, and that's it. And again, if it reminds you in that question, if any parent needs an iPad or a computer, a laptop, they just contact the principal and they will get that laptop. I would imagine the laptop is probably the best device to use. And in that same area, I don't mean to take so much time, Steve, is that we reapplied for the CARE grant today, where we hope to get 500 computers through that CARE grant. And we also are scheduled next fall to go grades 9 through 12 one-on-one initiative with laptops that are capable of doing more than a Chromebook.
Next question, please.
Okay, our next question is from Karen Pitka. She says, Suffolk will soon enter the yellow precautionary zone. This requires 20% of faculty, staff, students to get tested. Does Mount Sinai have a plan in place for how we will navigate this? In the yellow precautionary zone, schools can stay open for the in-person instruction if this testing is done.
We are a yellow district, what we'll have to do is we're just getting tons of things, memos from New York State, memos from the Superintendent's Association, because everyone is wondering, how are we going to do this? For those who aren't aware, Karen perhaps was looking into this. You are required, if you're a school district in a yellow zone, the Department of Health will tell you if you are considered a yellow zone. There's a big decision for me and the board, because if you are indicated in the yellow zone, you have to test 20% of staff and students once a week. So you do 20% 1 week. What does that mean for Mount Sinai? 700 tests. Are there enough tests to do us and other districts? Because I'm thinking if we turn yellow, a number of our neighbors are going to be yellow as well. 700 tests a week, who's going to do it? Now, what the guidance we got today is we have to train our own staff to do that. So it's quite a big haul to make this thing. A lot of districts and our neighbors, I checked with other superintendents, they'd rather close than have to do all of that testing because they don't know how they're going to accomplish it. If you think about it, per day, how many students is that you're going to have to test somehow? And with students in the building, what are the nurses? How are the nurses going to do their regular job if they are the people? On this New York State memo, I contacted some of the agencies. They said we can check with for help. I called one, the Port Jeff EMS people, which is on the list for Suffolk County, and they didn't know what I was talking about. They had no idea. So we talked and I gave him the memo and he's looking into it for me. Then I received another memo. Hampton Bays, starting tomorrow, is going to start testing they're an experimental district. They're watching them closely. They're getting it, starting it, see how it goes. They have the tests. I mean, they're the only one right now. There are rapid tests and they will start testing tomorrow, but their population is smaller than ours as well. So the superintendent, Lars, is going to tell me how it goes, how they did it, everything we'd have to do. And I know, I'm sorry, this is a long answer, but it's very complicated. We're talking about it this afternoon, what we would do. But other districts, rather than setting it up the way the state wants it, 20% of staff, how many parents are going to sign off on their kids to be tested? One. Are teachers going to volunteer to be tested? You know, and rapid tests, frankly, people know they're like a 50 to 60% accuracy rate. You know, and even the Department of Health, when they used to talk to me, when I called, they indicated too, they asked me, what tests did they have, rapid or the regular test? And I'm thankful that the parents of the children who unfortunately got the virus recently, they're going for the real test. but that takes 2 to 3 days even to find out. So long story short, we are looking into it to create our plan. Should we be yellow? We don't seem to be that close at this point. I think Bob said we're 2.4 today. Bob, you can correct me on that if you want. But you can just call it. The Department of Health determines it. They will tell you your yellow zone, and then you have to put your plan into action or you close. And then even if you close, if you have teachers in the district teaching, they will have to be tested. So you see how convoluted it is. And meanwhile, we're hearing that in Erie County, which is a yellow district upstate, they're not capable and able to do all that testing every week. So we'll see what happens the next week or two.
There is a great deal of inconsistency in the messages from the state. In our discussions this afternoon, I followed up, and it's unclear if it's a countywide yellow, if it's a district yellow, or how these zones will be defined. And that certainly would be a factor in what we would want to know. For example, is Brookhaven going to be lumped in together? And is that everyone? Is it our district alone? Is it a different region? For example, Port Jeff, our district, and Rocky Point? We don't know, and we have not been able to get those answers. The other issue is, how would we attempt this? I don't know if any of you have gone for tests, whether you're traveling or returning or having to have students come back from college and have to schedule tests within 3 days. There are 2-hour waits at some of the facilities. If anyone particularly has an interest, PM Pediatrics, if you're still under 21, your kids can go there. But it's an uncertainty, and it's an uncertainty with regards to the type of test and the accuracy of the test. So we're approaching it with some degree of skepticism to see what we would have to do, and if we could do it and how we would do it. Steve, your next question?
Yes, our next question is from Jacqueline Duddleston. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Can Mr. McCullough speak about some school districts in Suffolk County already planning on closing after Thanksgiving? What is Mount Sinai's plan?
We don't have one. We're trying to stay open as long as we can and being as diligent as we can. Surrounding districts, our neighbors are not planning to close either. However, it was not good news that, and the governor was rather confused when Mayor de Blasio suddenly closed New York schools today, when 5 minutes earlier, the governor swore they wouldn't be. But there are a few districts that do have the plan to shut down after Thanksgiving and not open till December, weeks later. That's a lot of school missed. You know, we're trying to make an effort to get kids in. We rolled in the first Wednesday successfully today. So we alternate our Wednesdays. I would hate to have to close when we're getting more time in. And we have talked with the board prior to all these numerous cases we've been getting lately, that how would we expand? Who would we expand with? I've said this in public and printed it. Would we get 7th and 8th back so we have K to 8? Would we bring in our seniors, as some districts had planned to do? I don't know if it's going to happen now with the COVID numbers going up, but Rocky Point's supposed to happen in a few weeks. Floyd brought seniors back. Middle Country's talking about it. But what about juniors? Are they less important than seniors? We all know junior year is a very important year for college, very important year. So, it's a tough decision to make. We have to watch the numbers, but that we have as a district no plan and no intent to close right now. We've been going pretty well. And Bob said at the opening, it's up to the community. And the Department of Health commended us for what we do in our buildings, but we can't control the gatherings outside, particularly when our college students come home this weekend. I hope it's not a rough week next week.
I think this, if I could add, the Department of Health has commented on our facilities plan, our setup in the classrooms. They've seen down to seating charts. We have had a few instances of infection coming into the building from outside sources, and by that I mean outside activity. that has been brought into the building. The Department of Health has referred to it as we have a good containment process that has allowed us to, the first time we had to quarantine, it was well over 200 students. We've had to quarantine less because of distance and because of how we've set up classrooms. And frankly, the students and teachers diligently wearing their masks. We're very thankful. So I think let's keep positive thoughts out there that we're going forward, that this is working, and we take each day, each week as it comes, and continue to move in that direction forward. Steve, next question, please.
Actually, our next two questions from two different guests are related to each other, so I'm going to put them both together, if you don't mind. The first one is Joanne Wentz asks, both the teachers agreement and administrators agreement, did we negotiate based on our new normal? And the follow-up with that from Brad Arrington, what is the substance
Sorry.
I didn't see.
of the changes to the teachers agreement?
The teachers agreement is easy for me to answer. It involves extending an opportunity for one of our veteran teachers in a subject area that we may or may not have immediate ability to fill, to continue with us. And we worked out a plan that saves the district a significant amount of money over the next couple of years, 3 years. In C, we did in fact work through quote unquote the new normal. Our Administrators Association has been both in the prior contract and this contract very cognizant of that, providing with us what I'll call give backs or changes to that contract that has allowed us to prepare for the future, prepare for staffing or staffing changes in the future. And it was a very civil and positive negotiations that brought, I think, us to a good place financially, as well as maintaining our administrators on staff. So I thought it was a win-win for both sides. I was very pleased with how it worked out and the discussions that were had. I hope that answers your questions.
Lisa Forbell asks if all classes can be recorded, not just science and math.
What I have told teachers to do is indicate, and I told the community as well, what you should do is communicate with your teacher or your principal. And I've said this to our teachers because the Google Classroom is a live presentation. I'm observing now, I'm in classrooms, I'm watching the kids on the screen at home. So every classroom I've been in so far is live. But Lisa's question is a good one. I told teachers, particularly in math and science, that if the parents want it and the students want it, and I've been in the AP classes where I heard them say, we need to replay our lessons. We need to see them again. I asked the teachers to do what works best, as long as they're teaching the lesson on their schedule that works best for their subject area and their student and their parents. So I would communicate your desire to your teachers on that schedule and the high school. This is the methods that you prefer. And I think that would.
An aside from not having a high school student, it is very helpful. They do use it. They use it as a study guide. They use it to address questions. So it is a very helpful tool. Steve?
Okay. Our next question is from Rory. There's no last name, asking if certificates of achievement for AP students will be given this year like in prior years.
Yes.
Okay. Our next one, I believe, was answered, and I just want to make the reference to it. Lisa Magan asked what kind of tests will be done and if parent consent will be done. But further down, she says, great answer. Thank you.
Yeah, we answered that. Yeah, thank you.
I think that's taken care of. Tara Sigalo, again, I apologize if I'm butchering your names. Will you be sharing the distance learning schedule with parents in the near future so we can properly prepare our kids? Most districts have sent out a sample schedule just in case we go out.
Yeah, I think that obviously the elementary school, well, grades K to 6 have times that they will occur. I've seen the elementary, I believe it might be on his website. and the middle school as well. So I will check and make sure. I actually asked them already to communicate. Now, grades 7 through 12 right now are going to be on the teacher's bell schedule. You know that. And I've talked to the teachers about the length of the periods. Their teachers will work with that. But that's the directive right now, live streaming or live lessons, according to the bell schedule, 7 to 12. And the kindergarten, I believe, just for examples, it starts at 9 in the morning in the elementary school. But you could call Mr. Catlin if it's not posted, or Elizabeth Hine if it's not posted. And I will remind them tomorrow about scheduling, making sure the parents have the schedule and it's clear. I'm just jotting it down.
Okay, our next one is from Allison Laval. She states she works for a healthcare company and they're charging close to $200 for rapid testing now. I'm curious if we will be charged the same, and perhaps inquiring costs would be a good idea as well.
Well, I can say that wow, that's amazing, $200 a rapid test. That's amazing. Thank you.
It's actually $249.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Listen, this plan, the yellow zone plan, the information I have now said the Department of Health is going to deliver all of those rapid tests. Now, just picture that. Our district, small district alone, 700 tests per week. Are they going to last that long? I don't know. But thank you for that.
Just since they're popping up, Jacqueline Duddleston, Karen Pick, and Lisa Fobel all thank you for your answers. Jen Kaplan asks, when you say that teachers may record their lessons, are you still expecting them to teach live on their class periods as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those live lessons could be what's appearing during their class period that can be replayed, or there will be live streaming. Here's what's probably going to happen. I've told the teachers this since the summer. If I'm a teacher, I taught high school English for 32 years. I would be live streaming because my job would be, I teach on the camera like I teach in my classroom. That's what I'd be doing. I'd have the camera on me, I'd run my lesson. Then I'm done for the day. A lot of our teachers go the extra mile and take the lesson. It's on the period where they do it, but they often do it the day before, and they edit and record and re-record their lessons, and they spend hours beyond the school day doing those lessons. When live streaming, you let it film and you're done. That's what it means. So I'm still waiting. I'm still holding out to see what produces the best product, how much live streaming. My prediction is a lot of folks are going to want to have the teachers have the ability to replay those lessons. That's my prediction.
We have a question from Chris Chamberlain. Will AIS services at the elementary level be offered? Should we go to full remote?
No, they should be offered. The AIS services should happen, yes. And they should be available. I would call Mr. Catlin about how that's going to be handled. They should be there. The kids, if the kids are on remote at home, they're still going to need help.
And I think in reading this last question, I think I understand what they're asking. Joanne Rentz is asking, can you distinguish live streaming versus recorded versus the word live? I think what they're not understanding is it's live streaming, but that live stream class is being recorded for future review. Is that correct?
Yeah, live streaming
it's interesting because if you're in the classroom, the cameras that we put in every classroom is set up so that there is a focal point for that camera. Some of the teachers have changed it to their desk or some other location. That unit will then record live and recorded lesson at the same time, but it's only on the teacher. It's not across the classroom, and it is not facing the classroom with the students in the classroom.
Well, it's the tough thing right now is that when you are teaching in person and remotely, and I've watched this, you have to do a delicate dance to do the live students, then address the students at home. I talked to the teachers about where they're placing the camera, because literally I've seen some kind of turn their side or their back to the in-person kids as they address those at home. You really have to do the dance, and that's why teachers will tell you it's much easier to be all remote. than it is to have half in and half at home. Because you have to pay attention, keep them on task here and keep them on task at home. And it's not an easy thing. It's not.
I do have to throw in, this is brand new. It's a challenge for our teaching staff. They're really rising to the challenge just in terms of, and I'm not speaking about, there's some concerns with regards, are we on the Bell schedule? Are we all doing it? The work that's being done to get this done, whether it's at the same time to a remote and to an in-person student, they're doing great work to try to do as much as possible with their students. And we have to compliment them for those efforts, because this is an entirely new media that they're working in. And if you weren't familiar with it, it's very daunting. It's somewhat intimidating. It's hard to do it back and forth, but I appreciate what they're doing.
Next question is from Terry McCrave. What should our secondary students do when they're home and they miss a lesson that is not recorded because of loss of internet?
That's going to be a tough one, because the teachers are told you're teaching on your period. And what we expect, and I've written to the public, is they should be on that computer like they are in school during that period. Now, what they could do is check to the teacher and say, I missed this important information. Is there anything I can do to get it back? Now, the lucky thing, a lot of teachers have repeat preparations. In other words, I might teach 2 or 3 sections of something. If you know the teacher's schedule, you can get on and watch the class you missed. But that's why, again, that question is good. I don't think everyone, people were clamoring for live streaming. I'm going to give it to them, but they're going to miss some of the opportunities to go back and see those lessons. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
And just to speak from personal experience, when that's happened in the house here, student communicates with the teacher, particularly as soon as possible. And if the class is offered later on in the day and doesn't conflict with their schedule, they're immediately invited in, or that teacher has engaged the student, helped them out, set up a help class or something with them. The key is quickly notify the teacher. It isn't an absence. Something happened with the internet. For all of us who live in Mount Sinai, the internet is questionable at best from optimum, and you don't have any other choice. So we're all subject to that.
Very clear statement right there. Christy, again, if I butcher your name, my apology. Bain made a comment. Thank you for making live stream happen. It has made a big difference. We have a comment from Christine Bradley indicating she'd like to commend the 7-12 staff, particularly grades 7 and 9. They're working above and beyond to support students in the environment. Cannot thank them enough. Chris Chamberlain asks, should the teachers record their lessons if we go full remote? Will live office hours be offered to students to ask questions?
Yes, there should be extra help sessions available. Teachers are going to communicate with their parents. And I told them to please do this, and their kids, their schedule. Some teachers will teach 25 minutes of that period and then take questions for the last 15. Or if the kids are working on something, okay, kids, now write your essay that we just, discussed. Start writing it, and anyone with questions, send me your questions right now. And they should also post some hours when they're available for extra help like they are now. But again, Mr. Chamberlain, the thing is, you should tell your teacher the kind of instruction you would like to see and what works best for you and your child. I would do that because there's a danger we could close in, unfortunately, a week or so, or 2 weeks. So please feel free to communicate with your teacher and administrator about the instruction you prefer, or that you like the recorded and the live piece.
Okay, and that ends our chat questions. I would like to thank everybody who participated for following through on this and made it significantly easier for me, and I think it made it a much better process for all of us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good night.
Again, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's up to us to keep the school open.
Yep.
Get it out there. I think we can do it. We have a good setup in the office. We are in the school. Sorry, I'm thinking about my office. I'm sitting in it. We can do this as best we can. Please do so. I wish all of you and your families a safe Thanksgiving. We are most thankful for what we have here, and we are thankful for all of you. I am thankful to my colleagues on the board. Every single one of them is a volunteer. Every single one of them puts in hours of work, addresses emails from me at ungodly hours sometimes. And I am most thankful to work with a very professional group of people who put the children first, the students first. And lastly, our administrators, our teachers, and someone I consider my friend, Gordon. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving to each of you and to all of you.
I
Thank you.
second
With
that.
that,
Thank you.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ed. The second, please.
Second.
All in favor indicate aye. Happy
Aye.
Thanksgiving to you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Safe, all right out there?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Be safe.
Happy holiday and be safe, everyone. Thank you. Have a great night.
Good night. Thank
Ken,
you.
thank you very much.
Good night.